Unrecognizable. This one really hurt. Since the entire country is on a high from PlayStation's productions, HBO's, Naughty Dog's, Neil Druckmann's The Last of Us, it only felt right to make a video on the Uncharted adaptation with our dear boy, Tom Holland. You can always tell it's a Tom Holland movie by the over-the-top quirks that make you cringe harder than you would at a high school gathering that your grandparents show up to cheering your nickname they call you.
Oh, there's our special boy.
Why they couldn't begin with the story of El Dorado or Shambhala is beyond me. I would have paid real money to see an Uncharted movie that starts right where it should, with him looking for El Dorado. Shit, I would have even paid money to see him in Shambhala facing off against Lazarevich. Why does the film open on a scene from the third game, and then just completely forget about for an hour and a half, only to make it one of the stronger visual moments of the film, but like towards the end? This film shouldn't even be touching on something this far into Drake's journey, this early in the film franchise. The first line of the movie that Tom Holland says is actually the closest we ever get to source material dialogue, and the closest Tom Holland gets to actually sounding remotely similar to Nolan North's Nathan Drake. The thing is, his tone and his delivery are just so wrong, it just doesn't even sound right. It sounds like Peter Parker. Nathan Drake is supposed to be cool, calm, collected, sarcastic, and a smartass. No matter how dangerous the situation he's in, he's always going to crack a joke in a life or death situation, or he's going to be a smartass to the person who's trying to kill him. The scene where Drake and Chloe were going to drown, and he was yelling for Sully's help over the walkie-talkie, he was losing his shit and he couldn't think properly. Chloe had to help him focus and calm down and help him think of a solution. That is nothing like the Drake we know would ever do. I can tell you, as an actor, when I'm on set and I'm working with the director understands that I'm an actor and I am in this character. If Tom Holland really was as familiar with the source material as he said he was in all these interviews he was in, then when he was doing that scene, he should have at least said something to the director like, hey, no, this is not how this character would act. This character would act this way. And the director would take that into consideration. I know from experience, when I've been on set, I know how a character is going to react in a situation, and sometimes the director doesn't always know that. I know I was in a situation where the director had told me, okay, do this, this, and this, and have the character do this. That just didn't sit well with me because I knew the character very well as I've been studying that character. I've been embodying him and living that character's life. At any point, Tom Holland could have interjected and said to the director, no, that's not how you do it. I think Drake should do this. Because I played all the games, Mr. Director, I know Drake should act this way. I know Drake wouldn't say this. I know Drake wouldn't act this way. I don't think Tom Holland did any of that. Because if he did, other people that knew the source material around would probably agree with him and say, oh yeah, we should. Or the director himself, if he knew the source material, would say, oh yeah, that's a great idea, Tom. You're right. Drake would do something like that. He wouldn't do this, what we have in the script. That coolness is a core trait of Drake's, and one that defines him so hard it shouldn't be tampered with. The writers have defiled him, not defined him. Why is he a bartender and working in a restaurant? What is that? Whose creative elevator couldn't go to the top floor or who thought this was a good idea? Shit, the kid from Outer Banks who plays Sam Drake would have been a better Nathan Drake. Rudy Pankow, I think his name is. The mere fact that they didn't use Nathan Fillion to play this character goes way beyond me. Everyone knew that's the only thing the fans wanted. Everyone knew he was the perfect match and the perfect choice for this character, no matter his age. I mean, don't we have digital aging? It's being used in more and more productions now. They could have easily de-aged Nathan Fillion to make him look mid to late 20s, early 30s. I don't know if anyone actually saw the Uncharted short film here on YouTube that Nathan Fillion did, but man, oh man, is it worth checking out. He puts the entire Uncharted movie to shame in 10 minutes. I don't know what the budget was for that thing, but it was immaculate. They captured the perfect element of the Uncharted we all know and love. Nathan Fillion carried that cool, calm, and collective, and he was able to transfer that so well from the video games to film as that character. It seemed very obvious that Nathan Fillion knew the source material, played the games, and wanted to honor the character. And the fact that it was just a short film is mind-boggling. Playing through these 4 games, and including the DLC and everything that happens, despite it not being a direct focus, there was no denying one thing. Nathan Drake is a murderer. Throughout all 4 games, you kill countless people that are just doing their job for money, whether they're mercenaries or not. No words are ever exchanged between you and the hundreds of people you murder throughout the entirety of the 4 games. Nathan Drake in the games is supposed to be tough, but he has a certain softness to him. He's a fighter, but he has a certain silliness to him. He's a dark character that always remains positive and doesn't take himself too seriously, no matter the situation he's in. He's also a selfish character, and he seeks greatness. Tom Holland just feels like a high schooler being pulled into situations and thinking he's an Avenger now. In the games, he was always the leader. He pretty much knew the answers and could figure out anything in all the puzzles. And when he did, nobody could talk to him. He just tuned them out. This movie is very different from that. I feel so strongly about how badly they fucked this movie up and the character of Nathan Drake. My brain just still refuses to believe that this is a real movie that actually got greenlit, got made, and came out. It is just so far from what we know the source material to be, it just doesn't seem real. I hate that Tom Holland was put in this role only because he was the hottest thing at that point. I don't know if I'm more upset about Tom Holland playing Drake or Mark Wahlberg trying to play Victor Sullivan. Every character in this movie is cringe. It hurts my heart so bad. It's really awkward how Mark Wahlberg has a Brooklyn accent at the end of only a few sentences in the movie, like he was hiding it and then forgot to hide it sometimes. The bantering between Sully and Nate is more cringe than I can handle. It felt so forced. I really hated when Nolan North showed up on the beach as a cameo. He was only in that movie to be disrespected. Putting him in there for 3 seconds on a cameo to say some cheesy fan-pleasing line was not the way to go with Nolan North, guys. It feels like Tom Holland actually should have played Nate, only in the flashback younger versions of him though. More than half the scenes he's in, he looks nervous and uncomfortable. Between him and the girl who plays Chloe, it feels more in line with the Goonies and Outer Banks, and it just felt a little too Disney for my liking. One thing I want to mention here is that there weren't many of those classic goofy moments of Drake's, where he clumsily makes a mistake, but the mistake ends up working as he improvises his way out of the sticky situation. In the games, he has a certain grace to his clumsiness, and that just didn't transfer well to film. It's just a shame that they couldn't capture even the most obvious elements that makes this franchise so unique and enjoyable. My fellow consumers, I think it may have something to do with the biased casting of Tom Holland. I can't emphasize how much my soul hurt watching this movie. His awkward, quirky character that he plays every single time is getting very old very fast. I just need to stress, when it comes to any adaptation, there was absolutely no shame in ripping a direct, mirrored copy of scenes and dialogue from that video game. That is exactly what an adaptation is. The ending cinematic with the helicopters and the ships actually had some potential there, and it was actually a pretty good idea. It's believable that it would be part of the story, because they pretty much copy and pasted the same concept in a scene from one of the games. But this was a prime example of how you should have done more of that, seeing as how it was one of the best parts of the film, and it honored most of the aspects of the classic Uncharted action that we know and we love. I don't know if it's because everyone was afraid to do it in the past, or they just thought that they could come up with a better storyline than the video game offers. But The Last of Us seems to be the first one to do a direct rip from the video games, and it seems to have worked out very well for them. And the fans, including myself, are very pleased. Take notes, Amazon. I'm talking to you for the Fallout series, because oh boy, are we worried about that one. I'm not going to count this adaptation as one of those movies that did do a complete rip of every story beat and scenario, or even certain specific ones. I'm not going to count that as this being one of those. And the reason being is because while it did rip some story beats, like the whole cross from Uncharted 4, them taking the cross and the whole heist scene, I still don't believe they were honoring it in the way they should. So while they did rip some story beats, the story beats that they did rip and weave and put together, they did not honor the source material properly. They ripped from so many different storylines in games, it was so unorganized and scatterbrained. By the end of the movie, I still had no idea what had really happened. There were so many storylines and crap that were just mushed and strewn along together. In short, this was a Tom Holland movie and not an Uncharted movie. But what do I really know, right? I'm just a disembodied voice here on YouTube. Alright, well the video's over. So, until next time, I guess. Bye for now.